Hi, welcome to another episode with Lightbulbs with Natasha, where we talk to business owners in Los Angeles about how they began and how to keep running a business successfully. I am here today with Rebecca and Bri, the owners of Let's Yolk About It here in Long Beach, California. Guys, how are you?
Good. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Happy to be here. For coming. Thank you for coming.
Oh, yeah. We are here in your space, and we'll be showing like video highlights of the space. And by the way, I had no idea you had that back private event space, so that's pretty cool.
It's our little speakeasy.
Well, thank you so much for joining. This all happened over a DM. Thank you for replying to my DMs.
Thank you for thinking of us. We're so excited.
Yeah, I mean, little background. I mean, one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you both is because I love coming here. This is a genuine love. This is a place where I always felt really like welcome and safe, and where I get extra peaches. And so yeah, I really love this place. Thank you so much for creating such a beautiful, beautiful breakfast spot. By the way, this is a breakfast only restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually wanted to ask you about that. Yeah. Was that the concept the whole time?
It was. So we do parties at night, absolutely. So we do private parties, buyouts actually, but that was an evolution. It was always going to be brunch because we wanted to get some sleep. But that's the irony of it all is you think you'll sleep more, but in actuality you're up earlier hours.
Yeah.
And then you have to go to bed earlier to get a good night's sleep. But it was always going to be brunch.
Okay.
If I were a little bit younger, I would have considered doing something later, but
not anymore.
Not anymore.
I mean, are you guys early birds?
Early bird.
Early birds.
I wasn't. I'm still changing over, but much more so now, yes.
Okay, got it.
I'm an early bird.
Well, I mean, I want to first find out, how did this all happen? Because I know you've been in the industry for a very long time.
Yeah.
And have you had places before? Is this your first place, like your first own spot?
This is it. This is the first one. So it was an evolution. I started in the restaurant industry when I was 16 years old. I was working at the Brea Improv, the original one, old school, in a back little parking lot. Like there was like a TGI Fridays and much stuff. It evolved. It's more corporate now. But I was working there, and I was working at Red Robin at the Brea Mall.
Yeah, I know where that's at.
Yeah. So I was working there, and I didn't think it would evolve into this because I was so young. I didn't know which way the wind was going to blow, but I definitely loved the restaurant industry as soon as I got into it. It was just a good social environment and with a lot of structure, which is something I needed back then. And then years and years and years go by, and I had a lot of ideas of doing other things, but they never came to fruition. Eventually, just ended up bartending for a lot of years.
Yeah.
A lot of years at Legends on the same street.
Yeah.
I was there for 10 years, and then after that, went to work for the Breakfast Bar, which is also another local, just amazing spot. Was their general manager, then did some operation consulting, and then I was like, it's time.
It's time.
It's time.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And I know all of these places that you're talking about.
Yeah, great spots.
Yeah, they're really great. Do you think that working, because Red Robin is more corporate, right? So do you think like the balance of also working for a place that is super structured and disciplined, because not all places are like that. I mean, you go to like TGI Fridays, for example, and every recipe is exactly like it is in one place and the other. And so I think that creates a lot of discipline, right?
Oh yeah, that's a great question, because I think Bri and I will see some sort of corporate background on someone's resume, and we're immediately like, boing! Love that, because like you said, that consistency, the discipline. We're a small business, and I run it with like a small business, but I also run it with a lot of structure, and I like that umbrella. I think that consistency and that structure is good for the staff, and it's good for us as owners.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. The structure, that's the main word here, right, is great to have that corporate background. I worked for, my first job when I moved to Long Beach was Lone Star Steakhouse.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
And, not there anymore. But it kind of just teaches you what really needs to be done, and there's a lot of accountability there. But I've also worked for a lot of, smaller owned mom and pop, if you will, restaurants, which is actually where Rebecca and I met. Was at a sports bar that was that way. Okay. And I do like it because I think there's a lot of care with those things, and it just creates a good culture with your staff, and your staff. It's like that family feel. So it's nice to have a good balance of both.
That is great, because then that's what you bring to your place here, and all that experience combined. I mean, it's so cool. I think that's really cool. Yeah. So I want to get back into your background too. So how did this all happen?
I've worked in restaurants essentially since I was 16 as well. My first job was actually at a Jamba Juice when I was 16 years old. Yeah. And then everywhere since then was, restaurants, bars, everywhere from, sports bars, dive bars, fine dining, steakhouses. So
that's great.
It's been great to experience all of those things. And I think I've taken something from every job and learned, and that's kind of, I've had the same love for restaurants as well. Being with the community, with people, something new and exciting happens every day, meeting new people every day. It's just, it's fun.
Yeah.
So
that's really cool.
I enjoy it, and just the love of food too. I mean, I would consider myself a foodie. So it's just, I love it.
So how did this all happen though? Because we talked about your history a little bit and why you're in this industry, but okay, so how did Let's Yolk About It begin from notes?
So it started at the breakfast bar with a friend of mine, and she had the same dream as I, and so we collaborated. We were searching for places all over Long Beach pre-pandemic. We couldn't find anything that we could afford. Rents were skyrocketed. Everything was occupied. We kept hitting a bunch of walls. It was really discouraging. Then the pandemic happened. And of course, in the beginning, it was very frightening. So there was no action. Nothing was going on. But then time started to go by, and restaurants started serving again. And when restaurants started serving again, there were, I don't know exactly how many, but there were quite a few empty doors on 2nd Street. Never did I imagine 2nd Street would be a possibility. Never. Pine, not a possibility. Those main hubs are prime real estate for walking neighborhoods, things of that nature. So I got really lucky and had a friend that was connected to this building, and he facilitated a deal, and we signed and got our keys in September. So we got our keys September 2020. The next closure happened. We were dressed shields, plastic, impossible to find any staff, impossible to find kitchen staff. We got really lucky with a chef out of Solvang that offered to help us start our menu. She got us off the ground. We sold mostly burritos because it's a good to-go food. Yeah. The community came together, and we were off to the races.
But doors open, not yet.
Doors open key September. Okay. Called in all of our favors. If I had a friend that was a painter, he came through, painted my building for me. I have another friend that I was a neighbor with for many, many years. He came in and did some plumbing or electrical for me. Had another friend that came in and did some plumbing for me. So without the community, without building these relationships that I had built for 10 years working as a daytime bartender at Legends, there's no way I would have been able to do it. It was a valiant community effort.
Oh yeah,
big time. Yeah. So that's why we're here still. That's why.
I think that says a lot about you and like you said, the relationships that you built. I mean, people wanted to help you. Yeah, people were going out of their way to make this dream happen. Right. That's really beautiful. Right. That's so cool.
Friendships can be really special, and maintaining those friendships are pretty easy around these parts because we're all 1 degree of separation here in Long Beach. We all know each other in some form. If it really is 1 degree of separation. And so that helps because it's like, oh, how do you know so-and-so? Your friend's on. It happened today. Somebody was buying a chair. How do you know so-and-so? Oh, Yeah.
Yeah.
Lived neighbor 20 years ago. Yeah.
I think that says a lot too about Long Beach in particular.
Oh, it's great.
Long Beach is such a great community and small businesses too. I was talking about this with another Long Beach business owner, and she was also very expressive of how Long Beach small business community are very helpful, and you can really rely on each other. It's not necessarily, you're not looking at the other breakfast spot as competition, even though it is, but you're really there to support each other. And I think it's good to have more around you because it creates more of a community and more traffic as well.
Well, that's a really good point, because when Breakfast Republic was opening up, people were like, "Are you scared? Are you worried?" And at no point did I ever feel scared or worried with 500,000 residents and my occupancy is 82. You know, and then we got really lucky too, having Colossus open a little bit after us.
Yeah.
They have a huge draw. They have a huge community. So people would walk by to go gather their bread, and they would see our place and peek their heads in what's going on in here. Without them, we wouldn't have had those people come through. And Aroma de Roma, which with their, I don't even know how many years, they were down at that end of the street. Now they're here.
Yeah.
I'll be having coffee over there, and people are like, "What are you having coffee over here for?" You know, just
because that's what it's all about.
Because we like to see our people.
Yeah, it's so much better having 2-3 other breakfast spots or 5-10 other restaurants here instead of it being completely empty.
Right.
I mean, imagine that. Imagine that after the pandemic, there were still for lease signs. That would be really not good.
It was really scary. At one point I did start to get into this doomsday mindset where I was like, is it ever going to be the same? You know, especially once people started taking their masks off. I had employees working for me that I was sure I knew who they were, and they took their mask off and I had no clue who they were.
Yeah.
So it's,
Those
those
are crazy times.
Those are crazy times.
Isn't that weird how it was just 4 years ago? Like,
No.
it's been 4 years, and it's weird to think
Crazy.
about that. But
4 years ago that it started.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I know.
So, tell me about how did you? Because I see your hat.
Okay.
By the way, I really want one.
You get one. You get one.
You get one. You get a T-shirt.
Okay, so originally with my original business partner, we were on the freeway and she was like, what's cracking? And I could not stop laughing. I thought it was so genius. It just applied to an egg. Answering the phone was so fun. What's cracking? This is Rebecca. Or what's cracking? This is Melissa. No. So good, but a guy ended up trademarking it in Arizona. We were at a crossroads because we had spent all of our money invested in the business, and we didn't have the desire to fight to keep the name.
Yeah.
We thought if we're going to rebrand, we need to rebrand right now. So we rebranded, and there was this girl that worked for us who's a stand-up comedian. And so I thought about All Yolks Aside, but there's a macaroon company, All Yolks Aside. So we went on all these puns, and then came up with Let's Yolk about it. It's long. I don't know if I would have named it that again, looking back, because...
After, did you think of other, 4 years later, have you thought of other names?
Okay, so
we don't have to say that.
Here's my advice. Here's my unsolicited advice.
Okay.
If you are starting a company and your company has other capabilities, like for instance, this is a huge room and there's a back room that we ended up building out. And so now we can do private parties, baby showers, all the things. That's my plug. If you have other capabilities, maybe don't put an egg on the front of it with a name that only allows certain time of day. So like for instance, if the name was Dahlia, you could still serve breakfast, but you could, and then you growing and you want to serve dinner, now you can serve dinner, but it would be really difficult to become a dinner spot and be called Let's Yolk about it.
Right. Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm really happy with it. And if it goes really well, I'm going to franchise it. Yeah.
I mean, I see people walk by every day and look at our sign and
They
just
crack up.
they laugh.
I love
They're
it,
like,
by
"Let's
the
joke
way."
about it. I
Yeah.
love that. And someone said they came in just because they love puns, you know?
It's a great, it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I remember driving by. I was driving because this is my home right here. I mean, I go to this gym over here and this coffee shop, the Italian. I'm like, that's my coffee shop. But I remember driving by it and I saw the crack, like the egg, and it's cracked, and I was like, what's crack? I was trying to figure it out because I needed my glasses, and I'm like, what's crack-lacking or something? And I thought it was so funny.
Thank you.
And I kept with it, and then I drove by another time. I think right when you had to change it, and I thought it was even funnier. I'm like, oh my gosh, they are so good. They just nailed it. and I would come in here every Thursday morning. So
Thank you.
Yeah, I love this place. This is my favorite drink, by the way. This is. Can you tell everyone what this drink is?
Okay, so this is it's a white peach mimosa. Okay, so it basically, mimosas are the game right now. So any flavor you can turn a mimosa, but that would be one of our number one sellers.
Oh, yeah.
By far. And this is my favorite movie, Candy. So it was a little dangerous, having it in the beginning because I was popping them every few minutes. But
oh no, when I first arrived, I told you one of your servers was so sweet because she saw how obsessed I was with them. And she would bring me 3 every time I came in. She'd be like, here you go, 3 extras. And I'm like, thank you so much.
We'll give them to the kids sometimes. I'm like, you have to go home with your parents after all the sugar.
All the sugar, yeah. But this is definitely my favorite.
Thank you.
And I've had some good tipsy moments here. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
We aim to please.
Yeah. So that's how the name happened.
Yeah.
Good tip, though.
Yeah.
I would say.
I think.
As a business owner, did you try to find the name first, or did you wait till the end?
No, the name was a priority for sure.
Okay.
I think Melissa kind of had it in her repertoire for a long time that it was going to be part of her jam. So, yeah, I think I wasn't married to anything. I didn't have anything in mind. Mm-hmm. I definitely loved it right away, but I didn't have anything to bring to the pot concerning the name. I had a vision of what I wanted.
Had more of, or like what was going on
the
in
aesthetic.
here more aesthetically.
Right.
Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's super cool. And so then you open, doors are open. Mm-hmm. Community is just showing up, or was it?
Well, we got a lot of slack for painting this building a bright blue color. Yeah, but I mean, I like it. I realized I had been working on the street for so long, and I never paid attention to the front of the street just because I knew there were banks, and you just kind of drive by and you get towards the restaurants. So I wanted to make people turn their heads. Yeah. And I also really love New Mexico. I love Mexico City. Mm-hmm. I love Dr. Seuss. I love New Orleans. Okay. I love color. There's a lot of color.
I'm seeing the theme.
Yeah, so I knew I was going to put a bright color on the front. So.
Well, it does grab your attention because now, I mean, people who are listening, you'll know it's the blue section.
It stands out, and people do say that all the time.
It does.
Oh, yeah, that's
that and the
restaurant.
egg.
Yeah.
And I see so many, because our windows are a little dark, so you'll see people out there like, taking pictures in front of it.
For sure.
It's really good on the skin. So
good reflection.
It's good. What is it? Good filter.
It is. It's a good one.
So community welcomes. Everybody's like, how did the menu? How were people's reactions to the menu?
So the menu in the beginning was pretty good, but we had just had the chef come in and make the menu, and then she was gone. And so we didn't have any quality control. And with our lack of ability to, with our lack of ability to staff the kitchen and no quality control and really biting off more than we can chew, the food started to drop down pretty bad. And at one point I looked in the window and I was just disappointed with where we were. Okay. So I started reaching out to some friends and got hooked up with Chef Hugo. And he came in and he has his hands in a lot of restaurants. He owns a brewery called Brown Soul Brewery, which is the beer that we serve on tap now. Oh, cool. And he also he's really deep-rooted in the restaurant industry, and he came through and he did us a huge number on our menu. He took it and he brought in color He got rid of anything we weren't making from scratch.
Oh, wow.
He brought in higher end quality produce, quality meats, and just elevated us.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't to the point where we had to gouge our customers and really
do this
raise the menu prices. Changed everything.
Wow.
Changed everything.
How far into opening was that shift?
2 years?
That was 2 years into it?
Did it happen while you were here?
Yes.
So how long have you been here?
I've been here for a year and a half.
So
Got it.
a year and a half.
Oh, okay. That happened.
Yeah,
And we're going to get into that.
It was probably a few months after I came in. So,
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, just
That
the
just
plating,
changed,
I mean,
though. That
yeah,
that made a shift, for sure.
Yeah, I mean the quality of ingredients obviously is the first thing, and just aesthetically, you eat with your eyes first, right? So just the plating, even our dishes, we brought in different plates, different silverware, things like that. So yeah, it really did elevate, as she said.
Right.
Everything.
Okay.
Everything.
Yeah. And then, so that does, bring me to this. So you came in a year and a half ago, right?
Yes.
And then how was that transition period as business partners too?
So just to get it out of the way, Melissa and I parted ways. I ended up buying her out. We just had different visions, and we were just, it was time.
Yeah.
And so I was alone for a while, and that was the most challenging times. Those
How long were you alone for?
6 months?
6 months, which seems like
10 years?
Yeah.
No, it was just really, really challenging at that time. And I knew I was going to bring on somebody with me because I want to grow. I want to grow the business. And if not this business, I want to build my little group and build our restaurant group, because every restaurant that I've seen with multiple owners that have their own lanes, they can grow. And but I just didn't. I had to be really careful because I'm a strong personality, absolutely, and I like things a certain way, and I needed somebody that complemented that.
Right.
And I kind of knew right away that it was going to be Bri. She was trying to make her way back to Long Beach from Solving.
Oh, wow.
She was working in fine dining, and she wanted to move back here, and she would have been picked up quickly by anybody, easily.
Yeah.
Her resume is killer. So she took a hit by coming, and a chance and a gamble by coming to be with me. So we did a sweat equity, and now she's an owner.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll grow together, and hopefully she'll have her own spot,
Yeah.
soon.
So what do you think, if you could go back in time and, reevaluate how to choose a business partner, what do you think you would have done? Or what are the qualities that did you write it down?
No,
or like-
I 100% probably still would have chosen the business partner that I did, because there's no way we would have gotten this far. She brought a lot to the table, but you have to consider the fact that we were in a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
It was the pandemic, and beyond the restaurant, we had our own lives going on, and it was just a lot. And
Okay.
I don't think we were ever going to go the long haul. I thought originally we were, but I think if I were going to do it again, I would definitely do what you say, and in this particular way, I would have done it the same, just because this is where it got us, right?
Yeah.
But in the future, if I were going to do it again, maybe take a personality quiz and see what your if they're compatible personalities. What are your skill sets? Where do you want to be? We had the exact same skill set. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 2 years? Who do you want your demographic to be?
Yeah.
Really,
really in-depth questions.
Super important questions. We never asked each other any of those questions. All we knew is that we were funny and we were laughing.
And you worked hard.
We worked hard.
You dove in.
We dove into it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of it's a marriage.
Oh, 100%.
It's a marriage.
Yeah.
It is a full-on marriage. Communication. We had never been in a fight, ever.
Oh.
We had never. So
You
we
don't
didn't
know each other's fighting
we don't
styles or
know-
what happens. It's full on like, yeah, it's a marriage.
We
it's a
didn't.
relationship.
We don't know how we're going to
Yeah.
respond to those moments. You know,
Especially
and
high pressure moments that staffing or how to, I mean, man, the list goes on of the things that happen on a day-to-day basis, right?
there's so many moving parts, and then in reality, you think you know everything. I mean, I've been in this industry since I was 16 years old. I'm humbled every single day. Today I was humbled. Every single day I am like, well,
No.
this is a new lesson.
Don't know everything.
Don't know anything.
So much better to go into something knowing that you're not, you don't know everything.
You don't know everything.
Even my mom has always said that. My mom's like, I'm in my 50s and I still don't know everything.
You don't know everything.
Yeah.
No.
Never will. Right?
Yeah, I was very cocky though when I was younger, and she's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Oh boy, honey, you think you know everything? You do not." And then life happens, and I'm like, "I don't know everything, Mom.
Hold me.
I need help."
I need you.
So coming into now this partnership,
Yeah.
what was it about? You know, how did you know this was going to be the right partnership then?
We have really good communication.
Okay.
There were just so many. We had worked together.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a history working together. We were close personal friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I know who she is as a person. She knows who I am as a person. We talked about it. We went over things where we
good.
want to go
Yeah.
in the future. We still had to navigate some, waters. I have to change some certain things to adjust to her. She needs to change some things to adjust to me, but that's part of the process. That's reasonable
Yeah.
parts of the process.
Yeah. I mean, have you guys been in a fight?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, before we were business partners, and
Yeah.
Well, then
like
that's,
she said,
that's
a marriage,
good.
Yeah.
relationship. I mean,
Yeah.
in any relationships, personal, business. I mean, yeah.
I think it's really important when you do bring on a business because it's so much. It's like you have to almost be willing to take a bullet for that person. Because
Absolutely.
That you have to, especially
Absolutely.
because sometimes one person has to be the bad guy, especially when it comes to staff. Like,
We go back and forth. Like you take this one. Like
Yeah.
I'll take the next one.
but I mean, what would be, if you don't mind sharing, like for each of you, what's a strength and what's maybe the place where you lack, where, your business partner gets to come in and be like, all right, if that's where it's lacking, I can come in and step in for that. Where do you think like your strength, first of all, strengths, what would you say like Bri's strength is? And then
Endless. She's very professional, incredibly professional. There's no line crossing ever. So when it comes to discipline or anything with the staff, if she's speaking to them, they know that was warranted. It's not a broken record.
Okay.
There's so many. She's full of great ideas. She knows how to save money. She pays attention. Sorry, that's the. What is that? Oh, that was.
Espresso machine, I think.
Oh, the espresso machine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It goes to Christmas.
It's a
past.
restaurant, guys. It's a restaurant. You're going to hear things.
But she's good with technology.
Oh, cool.
She deals with our vendors. She cuts the fat. She's great at hiring. Artistic, fun.
Yeah.
Very fun, but very, very serious at the same time. Once business is complete, then
Yeah.
you see the fun side.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's cool. And now your turn.
Oh, no.
No, I mean, she's great at everything
gosh.
she does. I think just her attention to detail is great. She sees things that sometimes I don't see. But I think, too, she's very well spoken, which, I think that I have good communication skills, but she, with the tough situations, she, I think, gets her point across very well.
Yeah.
Every time we have to, we keep a very tight crew here, but obviously we've had to fire people, and
Yeah.
she always takes the lead there and just says things so eloquently that I get nervous and sometimes don't know how to say it, and
Yeah.
she's always great and doesn't. I know that she's nervous on the inside, but you would never know it. Like if that other person, she covers
Well, my
heights
dad
over.
says you don't fire people; they fire themselves.
Hey, that's a really good.
Yeah,
we're gonna,
I mean, like,
really
that's
highlight
just-
that on the reel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So, Bri, when you had to make that decision, I'm sure it happened throughout, it's not like, just like hey, it was a few conversations, right? But a lot, maybe.
It's pretty difficult to get fired from here.
I'm sorry. I meant from her coming in on a business. So sorry, I totally got into a different subject. But yeah, when you
really
had to make the
have to
decision
mess
to come in and be an owner here, I mean, how was that process for you?
I mean, I've always dreamed of owning a restaurant. To be honest with you, I never pictured it being a breakfast restaurant initially. But just her being willing to give me this opportunity, I was very grateful for. And I knew that we would be great partners because as you said, we've been friends for 15 years, I think now. Yeah. And so we know each other very well. And I was really excited. As she mentioned, I moved away from Long Beach for a couple years, did a few things, and I was really missing Long Beach because this isn't where I grew up, but I do consider this my home.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was away, I mean, we still talked every week probably because she was one of my best friends. And so I always came to her for advice. I did see her as kind of a mentor before coming on as a business partner here. And so I told her I was coming back, and I honestly didn't know what I was going to do, but I was like, I'm just going to come back, and I'm sure I'll find a job somewhere until I figure things out. And she mentioned this opportunity, and I was very excited. Crazy enough, right after I was kind of had my mind made up, another job opportunity approached me that was in a completely different industry. And, the restaurant industry is very tough. And so I played around with the idea. I'm like, maybe, at least I didn't want to have any regrets of, I at least wanted to look into it and give it a chance. And so I did, and we talked about it.
It was in a really pretty area. Inside, I was like, no, but I had to be like, oh,
you had to respect that.
Yeah, she was very respectful and professional, even though I knew she was like, no, kind of, But she would have found anybody else to do this too. I mean, I always joke that, and not just me, everybody says she's the mayor of Long Beach because she knows everybody and everyone knows her. Every single day someone comes in, is Bex here today?
You really do, by the way. Yeah,
she knows everybody.
You do. We have a friend in common, and I had no idea we had a friend in common. Yeah,
it's 1 degree. I'm telling you.
Seriously, everyone loves her.
Yeah.
No, it's. I mean, I've worked, on daytime bartending in the neighborhood for you
your
get
locals.
To know everybody.
Yeah.
At some point.
But basically, I decided that I do love the restaurant industry, and this was always kind of a dream of mine. And so I was like, I'm coming back to Long Beach. I'm doing this with her, and here I am. And definitely no regrets. I'm so happy.
Good. And it's been a year and a half.
Yes.
Sure. So a year and a half. And when you came into this, you are stepping into already a thing that's been built. So it wasn't from scratch, but you built something. You're stepping into it. How was that with staff too? I mean, I'm sure staff is like, oh, okay. I'm not saying it was,
there was some pushback.
So that happens. I mean, I worked in restaurants as well. I was a bartender, and so it is different when someone else walks in and you have to listen to them, and I'm gonna speak from my side, but yes, as a bartender, I'll be like, I've been here longer than you, so you get to step in now, and I'm so sorry for that now. I apologize in advance for anybody, but that does happen. We can't acknowledge, we have to acknowledge it. It does happen. So the pushback, how did you deal with that?
There definitely was. People get set in their ways, and we could feel it. I could feel it, but for the most part, it really wasn't too bad. I think that people understood that I was the boss. We are the boss,
and your experience too. It's so different when someone comes in here who's never worked it. That happens. They'll bring in a partner who's never worked in the industry in a day in their lives, and they think they know everything. But you have so much experience in fine dining as well.
Yes.
So I think that makes a difference, though, that you know what you're talking about.
It was, and so my job right before this I was the general manager of a fine dining steakhouse. So, It was a little bit of a, I had to make a few adjustments to go from that to this, because obviously, I was selling $100 steaks. Now we're selling $15 omelets, so just the level of service, I don't want to say I had to lower my expectations, but a little bit, like when I was at the...
She had to tell people you can't wear a bare midriff.
Whereas before I would send my busser home for having a wrinkled apron,
Yeah,
so
that's so true.
It's just a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah,
but,
so it was an adjustment for you and for them.
Yes, but honestly, we have a great staff here. Yeah. And the people that were here when I first came on, most of them had been here for quite some time, and we're very respectful. So it wasn't too hard. Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, it shows. As a customer, I love coming here. I love the energy. So it does show. You can tell when you walk in somewhere, and especially if you've worked in the industry, you could tell when two people don't get along. It's so obvious because they're not helping that table.
Yeah.
And I've
The
noticed
tension.
it. I've been places where I'm I would just say something and I'd be like, those two right there, they don't get along because that girl has not once helped us in this table, and they're not happy with each other, because you could tell someone will come in and help out when they see the other server just kind of struggling.
Absolutely. Teamwork is number one for us here.
Yeah.
And I tell everyone that from day one, even in their interview, that is number one.
Yeah.
Help each other out. You walk by a table, if it's not your table, you see a dirty dish, please take that dish off the table.
I love that. I feel what was it? There was this one Italian spot, and it was such a small, old, Sicilian Italian spot, but she would make all the servers pull tips. Because that was the only way they would help each other. Yeah. And I'm ooh, but it was great. Don't get me wrong. Everyone helped each other. But then I was oh, wow, there's very different styles of management. There's very different styles of how you get people to help each other out. But I think it's really great when you get to help, when the staff helps each other out, just because that's just common just knowledge, right?
I mean, I tell people we're here for the guests. Whether you're not making that tip that day, guess what? This is what's going to keep us in business. It's what's going to keep you having a job, right? Because because they're not your guests today, they could be your guests tomorrow.
100%.
And if they have a bad experience today, they're not coming tomorrow.
That's a great tip.
So
I love that. That's so true. Yeah. Just because it's not your customer
That's
today.
my business partner.
That's your business partner. I love that. Yeah. Just because they're not your customer today doesn't mean they're not going to be tomorrow. So that's really good. Yeah. So this is, okay, great. You have a great partnership. You've fought before. You know how to fight. And you complement each other quite well. Yeah. And I could tell too, you guys went to go get coffee together and stuff. I'm oh, that's cool. Yeah. So now that, so we were talking about how it's been 4 years since the pandemic started.
Yeah.
There's so much conversation about inflation, about, employee costs too, about, now offering them PTO, offering them, you have to give so much, right? As business owners. In my business, it's a lot. It's been a struggle. I closed one location down on my other business and it was in LA, which is higher costs, downtown LA. So it's affected a lot of industries, and I'm in a completely different industry than the restaurant. So how has that been for you?
I feel honestly, there's some sort of crazy thing going on with our state government where, or I don't know what it is, where restaurants are always the first one under attack. I think people think we're wealthy. In reality, we have labor, we have, the soap, the cleaning people, and this is before we've even turned on the lights or paid for the gas or paid for the electric or paid for the food, or the drinks or the insurances or the POS systems, or you charge a credit card and then now we owe 2.3% on a processing fee. You have your banking. It's just, by the time it's done, you're left with very little. You really are. If you're successful, the more restaurants you have, that little becomes more, which is great. But I don't know what's going on. Sometimes it feels like they don't want restaurants anymore. They just want fast food with an automated system where you go up and you press a button and then this food appears and then you go home and that's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I try not to dwell on it because it eats you alive. And it's so scary because this is all I know. And so I roll with the punches. I keep going. Inflation is real, so I shop a little bit more, right? Rather than rolling with what a price that is presented to me. Okay. Now I'm taking time and I'm looking everywhere to make sure that that's the best deal, to make sure that I can optimize my spending and make sure that we're going to see another day.
Okay.
But yeah, it's terrifying. You never know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
You never know. And I don't know if it's just a California thing, but a lot of my fellow business owners, your industry, my industry, we do wonder why is everything so dramatic? Why can't it be a slow burn so we can get to a reasonable, accessible solution? Why does it have to be an assault constantly?
Yeah. And it sucks too because you do feel the hit. Like in general, I mean, you know, when excuse my language, when shit hits the fan, small businesses are the first to get affected. And then on top of that, like restaurants were the first affected in the pandemic. I mean, just completely just done. And you could do to go, but it's not the same, you know? And so, you know, that's another thing that I talk about a lot on this podcast is, you know, the community does come in handy. The community does help. And it's such a big thank you, but it's also, you know, really asking the community to keep helping, like, you know, referrals, like bringing in your friends and family, like that really is help because that just keeps it going.
Yeah, I think, you know, as humans, we're creatures of habits. We like what we like. We go to the same places over and over again, but I would definitely encourage people to try different places. Like when I go to breakfast, I just went to Coffee Cup the other day. Sometimes I like to go to Starling. Sometimes I'm hitting Breakfast Bar. Sometimes I'm hitting Nick's. You know, if you're going to go out and eat and you want to go with the same friends or whatever, just explore mom and pop places. Go to those corporate places periodically and support them if you'd like. Like whatever it is.
It's not like you're going to stop completely. You know, this isn't I never say stop going to the big corporate places or stop, you know, ordering from Amazon. That's just, those are different. But, you know, think about it. And it's, you know, right here, how many shops are there where you can buy like cute little things, like cute little souvenirs or like something like that. Like just that's what really help is for the small business community. And I think I mentioned this already earlier, but what I do love so much about Long Beach is the community supports small businesses so much more than I think other cities do. Yeah. And I do love that. Like there's a special place in my heart for it because I always see people just like walking around and walking into the shop and it's like a little Sunday stroll and I love that.
And Belmont Shore in particular, you know, Long Beach is a big city, but I think a lot of people refer to it as like the biggest, smallest city or smallest, biggest city, you know, because,
I've heard that.
And there are a lot of different little neighborhoods, you know, you have Belmont Shore, you have downtown, you have the 4th Street Retro Row, you have Bixby Knolls, you know, all of these areas. And so I think Belmont Shore, it's our own little community and we really support each other here. Just like she said, she worked at Legends. I actually worked at Legends. My sister works at Legends currently.
No way.
I worked at Riley's, Shannon's. Like we just, this is our home. This is our area.
I think just to add too is, so through the restaurant, I sell a couple things that are from other parts of Long Beach. So I've got Culture, the mushroom company that is downtown. So it's really neat. They make a cold brew. They make teas, pour overs, cocoa. This guy's a mad scientist. He's making everything. He's infusing it with mushrooms. It's got all these benefits. Everybody loves it. I'll take 12. So it's flying off the things that I don't make in-house. I don't make cold brew. I don't make a spirulina iced tea. Okay. So I've got that. He's got... He represents another company called Good Pharma, which has a pour-over coffee, and some tea that I serve as well. Then we have one of my buddies has his honey company, and he is a beekeeper in Mexico. So we have his honey. here. And
That is so cool.
right.
I didn't know that.
So when we do our charcuterie boards and stuff for private parties, I'll throw his honey on there. Or if we're making baskets, gift baskets for people, I'll put a jar of his honey in there. And then it's a good way for us to support each other as small business owners.
I think that says a lot too. You know, you don't just talk, you walk the walk as well.
Yeah.
And you also include other businesses in your restaurant. You know, actually, I think we talked about it over the phone that you carried Aguas Locas too, and I interviewed the owner of Aguas Locas.
So the only reason we don't have it right now is we're getting a delivery because he changed his branding.
Yes, he has a can
he's going
now.
into cans.
I love it, by the way.
Yeah,
I've seen the
so
cans are so cool, but
buy
I thought that was
plastic.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it flies off the shelves. And
Yeah.
we throw a little tahini on the rim, put it in a glass of ice.
Now imagine that with a can.
I know.
Little tie. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
they're friends of ours, and I tell everyone, local, small business, support them. We all,
And I love him.
supporting
He's
each
a
other.
hustler, man.
He's a nice
he
guy.
He does it all himself,
He's
like
a
him and his
super
business
sweet guy.
partner. But yeah, I think that was so cool that we had that conversation
Yeah.
over the phone.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I think that's really cool that you include other companies and you know, it's all about helping each other out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now you know, you kind of mentioned it earlier, but you said that you have like that in mind to franchise is that like a goal like this year for this, or is that just something?
No, not this year. This year, we're just trying to. We still have a long ways to go here. There's some aesthetic changes we want to do. Want to redo our floors, and we just want to squeeze the juice out of this lemon as much as we can. So we're going to be applying for a full liquor license.
Very
We're excited
That's a
about that.
process. I mean, how
It
is
is.
that process? I don't know how that process is in Long Beach. How
It's
is that?
pretty intense. There's a lot of, you have to apply for a CUP, which is a conditional use permit. And that's because we have an already built-in bar. So we're going to do that. That's pretty costly. Then you have to pay for the broker. That's very costly. And then you have to buy the license, which is going for like something to the tune of $150,000 now.
Is there a lottery here?
Yes, we did not win it. We
Yeah.
played, we didn't
Bummer.
win, and then it doesn't come again until February. So we can't keep waiting.
That's true. You can't
Yeah.
just.
Yeah, we did enter it this past year, yes.
Oh,
but-
okay.
Yeah, and then we don't want to we see a gain in revenue getting that because obviously we lose a lot of customers because they're like, oh, I want a real Bloody Mary. I hear that all the time.
Yeah, I want a cocktail.
I want real vodka.
I want an Irish coffee.
I want an Irish coffee.
Okay.
I want an Aperol spritz. Yeah.
And look, I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I always order this. It's always my go-to. But
Yeah.
This is our garden spritz, which is very
Everyone-
similar to the Aperol
yeah.
spritz. It's delicious.
Which
but-
real quick, like you're making me look like I just am super thirsty.
sorry.
By the time I'm gonna be done, they're gonna be like, "Wow, that interviewer right there is an alcohol."
Not even.
Yeah. So that's the goal for this year is to have the license.
Get
right?
the liquor license. I want to roll out. So I was having these fun little nights where I was doing paint nights. So we did
Paint and sip, yeah.
paint and sip
Paint and
nights.
sip,
We were
yeah.
doing just like throw a steak dinner in, do a collaboration with somebody else in the neighborhood or somebody in Long Beach. Have them come cook. We'd do the service and serve food and drinks. It was really fun. Cinco de Mayo is coming up. I didn't really get ahead of that one, so I kind of dropped the ball. But that's another thing, too. Like a Cinco de Mayo, we could have breakfast margaritas, things like
Oh,
that.
that's so true. Hey, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's in motion.
Yeah, it's in motion.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. Hopefully the neighborhood embraces it and we don't reach any pushback because pushback is what really prolongs the process and hinders us from really
Yeah.
growing.
Pushback from the city or the community?
No, pushback. You know, it's been a rough go in the neighborhood lately with late night alcohol service, and
Oh, really?
they're taking a lot of heat for disruptions. But I mean, obviously, we close early, so we don't fall into that category. But
True.
the neighborhoods, you know, they're a little upset about some pretty serious things that have happened.
Oh,
that-
like
I mean, all the
basically-
neighborhoods, every
Yeah.
neighborhood after a certain hour and too much alcohol, people get
That
wild.
is true.
Yeah.
I used to live
It's not
over
just
by
here, it's every,
Seventh.
oh yeah, me
I
too.
used to
I lived on
you get
7th
used
too.
to it. I mean,
I mean,
I got
it
used to
happens
it.
everywhere. Luckily, at Belmont Shore, it doesn't happen too often here,
Yeah.
but when it does, everyone makes a really big
Big fuss
deal
about
about
it.
it because it's rare, right? But it is scary, and we try to be very responsible. You know, we both have been bartenders for a long time. You know,
Oh, that's
and-
you guys know this, and you guys
yeah,
know that
we
industry.
know how to
You
cut
could call
someone
it.
off. If
Yeah.
you're too drunk, we're not going to serve you anymore. You know, we're
Yeah.
very responsible in that way. So
Yeah, and I think that says a lot about just having the experience, knowing when to call it, knowing that, and no, that's totally fine. So that's what's gonna be happening. Do you think that'll actually, like, I don't know how long? That's the one part I don't know how it takes.
We don't know either because you post and ideally you want it in 3 months, but if it could take a long time. I've seen it take a really long time. I've seen it happen so quick. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
I've seen
we're
it happen.
crossing our fingers.
I've
you know?
seen it happen. You know what? Let's speak from optimism.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen it happen quickly, and I've seen it take a long time.
Okay.
I think the conditional use permit, if you agree to their conditions, like Long Beach will set some standards for your facility. If you agree to the conditions, there's no pushback. We're good to go. You know, if you are like absolutely not, I want to stay up until 2 a.m., which we do not. We have neighbors. we have neighbors. We don't. We close off. Even I've had 70th birthdays, 40th birthdays, baby showers, bridal rehearsal dinners, things here. Nothing, not a sound or peep after 11 o'clock because we have neighbors.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we have to be respectful of our neighbors. A lot of it is business. All the people above us are businesses, but even so, I'm tired.
Yeah,
I want to go to bed.
This is why you open a breakfast spot.
I'm so tired. Yeah,
There's a reason I don't work those 2 a.m. shifts anymore.
Yeah.
You've done enough. You've done enough.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, I mean, I wouldn't say it's all fine and dandy, right? But you're always busy. I mean, even when you go home.
Yeah.
When you're a business owner, you go home, everything's still running in your mind, right? So
No days off.
but I mean, something I've learned is that you really have to monitor yourself.
Have
because
you
if
been able
not,
to
it's
set
just-
boundaries on that?
I was about to ask you. I'm here for advice.
No,
have
I'm
you
not.
guys-
I'm terrible at setting boundaries. I have the most reliable staff. I have the most reliable general manager, and I just went to, a little trip, and the whole entire time I called once, which I was so proud of myself.
Yeah.
But the whole entire time I was like, oh, I hope everything's okay.
Yeah,
I hope
it's running.
because it's not
there.
about this stuff. It's like, what if something happens and something happens?
Yeah.
But you have to set boundaries. I haven't taken days off in a while, so I need to
okay.
start figuring that out again.
Yeah. Like setting a day where you're not gonna
Yeah.
come in or answer a call.
Yeah, I'm not good at it.
Okay.
I'm not
Do you
good at
have any tips?
Yeah.
I mean, we
Get good
try.
at
Yeah. I mean, even if I do, there's been times like, it was my birthday recently and I really tried to just not check my phone all day, and that is the good thing is we obviously know that we can rely on each other.
Yes.
So we both try to, I'm like, hey, you don't worry about work today. I got this. And then she'll do the same for me. And I know it's easier said than done because my brain works the same way. It's just, you can't help it because we care,
Of course. Yeah.
So
If
it
it's
is
her
difficult,
day off,
but-
there's something critical going on if I'm calling her.
Okay.
Like,
You know
it's
that.
cri- it's
so you
critical.
Really try to respect each other's day off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like that happens all the time. There's always something critical.
And I want to know too. I'm like, if I find out that on the next day that something crazy happened and she didn't tell me, I'm like, why didn't you call me? So-
Yeah,
But
it
we-
is tough, but I think it is important though. And
I think in the first 5 years of business and everything that I've read in any industry, you're in.
Yeah.
You just it's like the first 5 years of having a child. I hate to compare it to a child because I'm not dismissing how intense that is. I'm just saying that that's the only thing
But it is.
I can
It's your
equate
baby.
it to. It's
Yeah.
you're not leaving your kid alone for the
Yeah.
first 5 years, and then they go to kindergarten,
And
and
then
then
it's
you're
like,
like,
"See ya."
okay, I have no
No.
choice. Now I'm forced to
Yeah.
figure out my time without my child.
Yeah.
I think the first 5 years of any business, until you really really know it because I'm still getting to know my business. I've made so many mistakes that I had to learn from, and now I'm learning new ways to implement new strategies so that we don't make the same mistake twice. Once that's accomplished, then I think I can really pull back and enjoy the fruits of my labor, and hopefully, because I'm a crazy woman, start something new.
Start more. Do more. No, I actually do compare it, though. I have no shame in saying that. I compare
good.
it as to a baby. And especially the first 5 years, you have to attend to every little thing. And then after, it's like, oh, then they go into this, season of it. And then after they're teenagers. And then, but you're always having to take care of it. It's just different ways of taking care of it. And then it gets to a point where you have this model, you have this system, and then you can replicate it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you were kind of going towards, is want to be able to, now I've learned a lot of things and I know how to really create a whole manual and a system, and then what are we going to do with this now?
Yeah.
All of this work and effort, we have something here. What can we apply it to?
Yeah.
So, yeah, 100%.
I think too, another thing is I see things a certain way, and then if I let them do it their way, they're going to attract a different person. And it's important to let that happen, because I'm not going to attract all the people all the time doing everything the same way. So you have to let your staff and your whoever it is that's running the show do it their way. That's what I'm struggling with the most, but I am adapting.
Yeah.
Always room for growth.
Yeah.
Right, and improvement.
Yeah. But I think that says a lot, though, because if you're always you're always making the big decisions, right? But it's those day-to-day things that, you need other personality types to see how they approach it. Maybe it's not always going to be good, but you never know what you're going to get out of it. And it does, you're right, it could attract like another client. Everyone has a different style. It's
Different
not,
way
your
of-
bartending style is not the same as your bartending style. It would
Right.
not be the same as like maybe my style, the way I had it.
Right.
But it didn't mean it was wrong. It just meant it was different.
Outside
I'm a lot more
perspective,
casual and I'm a lot more just like free spirit. I'm like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Babe, how you doing, hun? And then I have my friend over here, my coworker, who's more formal, and it's like, and it's just different.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing that applies.
Different
to all this
isn't
stuff.
bad.
That's
right?
a compliment
It's not
to each other.
Yeah, I think so. So I did have one question that I just got right now, but there's just is something that I do like to ask in every interview, and it's if there was a moment. I'm sure it happens a lot where you want to throw in the towel.
Yeah.
But is there a specific moment that you recall that you were really like ready to just? You were like,
Oh, yeah.
this is a lot, but it happens so much. I mean, it happened to me 2 weeks ago. But there
Me
is
too.
moments. There are those pivotal moments where you were really like feeling like this is not working.
Yeah, I definitely came to a head probably like a couple months ago because I had made poor money management decisions with sales tax, and it started gaining and gaining and gaining, and then I wasn't making any headway, and the pressure cooker was going, and it was just one of those times where I didn't think that there was an end in sight, and finally resolution came. But prior to that, I thought I was going to quit. I was either going to quit or I wasn't going to have a choice because it was going to be taken. And yeah, I would say that was probably the biggest moment. It just goes along with amateur hour business owners not really realizing that there are certain things you cannot overlook for a few weeks. You
Okay.
cannot overlook this for a moment. You wouldn't overlook your insurance.
Yeah.
You wouldn't overlook your taxes.
Yeah.
You wouldn't overlook your staff's safety. These are things that you wouldn't overlook, and if you do, then you're going to feel the heat of that, and it's not going to be pretty. And it wasn't pretty, and it hurt.
Yeah.
And it was a really tough lesson, but I got through it, thank goodness, and I won't make that mistake again. But yeah, that was one of the times. I mean, I would say there's probably been 50 times
Yeah.
that I wanted to throw in the towel,
Yeah.
having to go inward and realize that I made this mistake or that mistake or all those things. But again, you have to acknowledge, give it that acknowledgement and recognize the mistake, and then you have to move on.
Okay.
You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive whatever's going on, and you have to move on because all of that will stunt your growth. And so I'm trying to apply that to my day-to-day. And since I've been applying that, it's been healthier atmosphere.
That's good.
I'm definitely a reactive person. Now I'm trying to be more of a listener. Listen to somebody if they're talking to you. If they have something to say and you think that it doesn't apply to you, but maybe they've been in your industry a little bit longer. Listen to that person. Are they right? We don't know. But if that conflict approaches you and you don't have any equipment to battle that conflict, what are you going to do?
Right.
So, yeah.
That's a
How
really
about you,
good
Bri?
tip.
No, I mean, obviously coming.
Have I made you want to throw in?
No, I was just hitting off of what she was saying. I mean, yeah, there's tough times. I think, as she kind of said earlier, like you meet people that are like, oh, you own a restaurant, you must be rich. Like,
Oh yeah, I think you're so rich. Oh my god.
oh my God, like, yeah, if you only knew, no, it's just, it's difficult. It really is. It's stressful. I think kind of what she said, it's just being proactive to certain situations. But I think for me, just realizing how to deal with those stresses and to let things go and not dwell on them as much and try to, once you're done with the day, just turn it off and have that more, like what we mentioned earlier, the work-life balance, because it is difficult to shut it off and stop thinking about things, but you really, for your own sanity, you have to.
100%.
Sometimes. So I think that's that would be the biggest thing, is just learning to deal with the stresses of work and things. So.
Yeah. How do you guys approach, because a really bad habit I used to have, and it's because, I kind of grew up in that environment and I didn't like it. And once I kind of understood it, it was the blame game.
I was just, right before you said that, I was going to be like, it's really important that you don't blame people.
Yeah, because that was my natural reaction.
Oh, me too.
Nope, I did not think about myself at all in this part. No. And I just went straight to the blame.
Oh my gosh.
And that never,
Toxic.
never like ended right.
Yeah.
And so now what I really do try to do is I want to lead with the solution first. Like, let's talk about it after and find out how this is never going to happen again, but what's the solution? Like, bring me solutions, please. Let me give solutions. But how do you handle that? Did you guys ever get into that kind of funk of you just react with blaming?
Oh yeah. Guilty.
And so am I. I think that communication is just huge there. And like she said, listening, because I know sometimes I probably, you think that you know everything, just kind of as you mentioned earlier, like I'm right, I know how to do everything. And you have to take that step back and realize, no, you don't. You really don't. And just, I think that communication and listening to each other is just the most important part of that.
Yeah. Letting the person actually finish a sentence too.
Yes.
I think that's like a bad habit I also used to have. It's like I was just ready with my next answer.
Yeah, not listening.
That's so bad and toxic. And I fully acknowledge it too. But I think it's good to acknowledge it, because then that's how you're going to get better. If you think you're always right, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're all guilty of that one.
You don't. When something goes wrong, nobody wants to be at fault. Really, like every car accident I've ever been in was my fault. Every single one of them, and I've been in 4.
So you're the one who gets out of the car and
and I know immediately this is my fault.
Yeah.
But that's math right there. That's the writings on the wall. But nobody wants to be, when something's gone wrong, nobody wants to be blamed, and I've definitely done that. Definitely. But
you're changing habits. That's just what this is.
Trying. Still do it sometimes. Things like, hey, you guys didn't fill up your salt shakers. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Now you're gonna. This is responsibilities. These are responsibilities.
100%.
But when it comes to emotional blame, there's no people know when they've done something wrong. You know when you've messed up. So yeah, I mean, that's an important bridge to cross.
Important
for
bridge,
sure.
important tip too. Even in business partners, especially in business partners, it's like let someone else speak and give their point of view, and then the other can go and also speak and give their point of view, and then find a solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Right?
Well, there's a lot of freedom in accepting responsibility as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
You definitely feel the weight.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, I could breathe now. All right, I put my truth there. Take it.
Yes.
And also, rather than blaming people too or whatever, you can say, I don't really like it when this happens. How do you feel? All right, let's figure this out.
Yeah. You know what I've learned too is when something doesn't go right, and when the staff really doesn't, have a solution, sometimes I even say to them, I say, don't even try to think of the solution. Just tell me what you think you would have done differently. Just that's it. What would you have done differently in that situation? It's just don't give me a solution. Don't give me like all the explanations. Just tell me what would you have done. You know? And I think that just letting them speak is just it's the same thing we were just talking about. It's like just let someone speak, and then they'll realize it on their own a lot of the time.
Adulting is what I would call that.
This is so terrible.
Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we have no choice because we like a living. Yeah. So, okay, so the business is open. I would definitely want to highlight, by the way, your hours of operation.
Thank you.
Because I want people to know this is a breakfast place. You can rent it out for events and for special events, and but what are your hours of operation?
So we're 7 to 3 on the weekends, Friday through Sunday, and then 7 to 2 Monday through Thursday. Okay. If we do a private party or baby shower, whatever the situation is, we're going to start probably between 5 and 10.
Okay.
Or usually 5, right?
Yeah, just so it gives us a chance to reset the restaurant, make sure
Right.
everything's clean, and we do certain decorating, or depending on the event, they can bring in their own decorations, just so we have it all set nice for them.
Okay.
But we do have the back room, as we mentioned, so we usually only open up that back room during the weekends because that's our busiest days, so it's
Right.
kind of for overflow seating. But we can also do any private party there any day of the week during our normal hours of operation as well. So whether that be a business meeting, a baby shower, as she said,
Birthday
things like
party.
that,
My friend threw a birthday party here.
Yeah.
That was
all
so
kinds
cool.
of things, yeah. So bridal showers, we did a tea party one time that was really cute.
Yeah,
The
did a
little
tea
like
party?
finger,
Yeah.
little like finger
was so
sandwiches
cute.
and the whole
that is so
thing.
cute.
And
It was
so cute.
so that's always available any day of the week.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so something that's really neat that I want to highlight that I think a lot of people don't realize, just to add to what Bri was saying, is if you're booking 25 people in the back room for a Saturday or Sunday, we'll hold that space for you for 2 hours at no extra charge. So if you're like, oh, it's Natasha's birthday and I want to bring 23 of my closest friends, we got you. 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 1. 12 to 2.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. It's been neat. We have a lot of.
I only have 5 friends.
Okay, so then we'll seat you right here, got a chair.
I got 5 homies there that they're great. Nah, I'm just kidding.
But we're also always throwing new ideas around, just brainstorming of ways to generate more business. We've thrown around the idea of doing like a brunch buffet in the back that may include bottomless mimosas. We're not doing that as of right now, but things like that.
Yeah,
like
you're always
just,
brainstorming on how.
ideas of what do people want, and we do like to get feedback from our community, like.
We're
What do you
never
want?
doing bottomless.
We're putting a time limit on it.
I feel like I don't. If I'm being honest, I don't see that trend anymore. I don't.
It's
I don't-
because
I
it's
never.
tough.
Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I look for them, but I don't see them.
We
as
just don't
much
want to
anymore.
overserve people, I think, is the biggest problem with
Yeah, well,
that.
that's
But
good.
we
Yeah,
do
it's
get
good
the
to-
calls, a lot of people asking if we offer that.
Yeah.
But we offer bottles.
Yeah.
By the glass or by the bottle.
Yeah,
But,
I think there was only 2 places I've called around that had do it now, but it's. I mean, it's not. It's expensive. too now.
Yeah.
It's not like they're, back in the day. Oh my gosh.
Well,
do
I
you
just
remember
don't
back in
want
the day?
people to live here. Oh my gosh, everybody was bottomless.
Everybody, but it was so cheap to do it.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
But I do think
$2
you
and drink until you die.
But you do
Yeah.
have to put a time limit on it. So that was, we were talking about doing it in like 2-hour increments or something like that. Come in, do, brunch buffet, mimosas for X amount of dollars,
Okay.
things like that. But
Yeah.
again, just
It's-
ideas.
it's
We like to.
brainstorming.
We're never doing bottles and mimosas. Okay,
I'm so
scratch
sorry.
that.
I want to zoom
I'm
into
Cut it
that.
out.
Sorry,
Just zoom into her.
Cut it out.
Sorry, community.
No, don't be sorry.
But
It's
just
totally
ideas,
fine.
we're
Yeah.
always just trying to figure out things
Ways
that
to-
people, just to get people in,
Yeah.
and support. And, I tell my servers during training, one of the first things I ask every single table is, have you dined with us before? Is this your first time in? Just so we kind of gauge, we know, are we getting more repeat customers,
Yeah.
first time customers, things like that, because we do, regulars do really support your business,
Yeah.
and I will say we are very lucky in that way that we have a ton of regulars. I know one of my newest hires just told me the other day, she's like, oh my God, you guys have so many regulars here. We're like,
Yeah.
yeah, people love us.
We do.
It's been really sweet too because they bring flowers.
Oh,
So we like to keep fresh flowers out. Right now we got the chamomile going.
those are beautiful.
But they bring flowers and so we
That is so
roam in.
sweet.
Yeah,
that
there's-
says a lot about that.
we've got a
So
woman,
it's
we're gonna put her plaque over there, Callie. Shout out to Callie. Hey,
Really?
Callie. Yeah, she comes in all the time, and
Oh.
if someone's sitting in her seat, she'll be like,
Yeah. I mean, it's like cheers,
so
right? We like to be that. I mean, I can't tell
feel
you
like
every day. It's like, oh, hey, John. Hey, Joe.
I feel like I'm next. I loved sitting there. That was my
That's your
spot.
table.
That was my. I'm gonna be so competitive now and be like, I want a plaque.
"You're getting a plaque.
your name on
Everybody
there.
gets a plaque."
Yeah, I should be able to do that. Be like, you want a plaque?
We're
It's
gonna
up
need
there.
plaques that like come out.
It'd be so cute. Plaques on the
removable.
table.
I know.
I'm kind of into that. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So okay, that's great. So the community knows your hours. They know, just basically come and support. If you have family members in town, if you have friends in town, like this is definitely a spot you want to take them to.
Yeah.
And then the events. Like I said, my friend had her birthday party here, and if I'm being honest,
Yeah.
it wasn't until I saw her birthday party that I was like, I didn't even know you could do that here, and I was like so happy. And so the next time
Wait,
I'm gonna
did
do
you
it.
come to that birthday?
I didn't. I was out of town.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
this place was a metamorphosis.
Erica knows everybody
She decorated
too.
it.
Oh my gosh.
it's casino night?
Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
It's really neat to see people's visions. Just a few tablecloths and flowers change it.
Changes everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
And she's definitely, oh my gosh, I love her, by the way. So she's so
so
cool.
funny.
Yeah, she's really funny.
That was
Shout
a
out to
fun
Erica.
night. That was a
Yeah.
really fun night.
Yeah. So, okay, great. And is there anything else that you would, I think that's pretty well said that, how to support Let's Yoke About It. And it's just keep showing up. Bring your friends, bring your family. It's almost summertime.
I know, I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so
Go to the
excited.
beach
And I love that
after.
the weather's finally seems like it's coming back to our normal.
Yeah.
We
It's
have a
been-
patio,
You have a patio. Yes, you do have a patio. I like sitting out there. But I think that's what I like to express a lot on the podcast is like how can you truly support a small business? I like to say sharing a post and like posting about is super great, but really what support really is coming through the door and like showing
Yeah.
up.
Tell your friends, bring them in.
Yeah.
We're having little private events coming up too to help support a new business coming out for a company called Watch Me. So it's going to be a female-owned sports bar that shows all female sports.
Oh, come on. That's
Yeah,
so cool.
with volume.
What?
So that's going to be pretty close to here. I'm not allowed to say where just
Okay.
yet.
Yeah.
But
They'll be opening soon?
opening soon, hopefully.
Oh, cool.
They are highlighting the LA Sparks are going to be playing at the Pyramid for 5 games,
so
the
cool.
Cal State Long Beach Pyramid, if you
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
And so that's going to be neat. So we're going to have some tacos and keep our
Oh, that is
restaurant
so
open a little
cool.
later if people want to come by and say hi to the Watch Me girls.
When is that happening? Or
When
that
There's
event?
a few dates in May.
It's on
Okay.
our Instagram.
Okay, cool.
At Let's Yoke About It.
Yeah, we'll be by the way, your socials are going to be showing up here.
Yeah, it's
So,
just kind of
yeah.
like the after game, after party. We may have some of the Sparks players. That's TBD.
We don't want to even say that
but-
just yet because we don't know.
Yeah, no, it's
TBD.
fine.
If they're tired and they want to go home,
Yeah.
we're not saying that they're going to
But
be
we're
here.
hopeful.
You're
but
hopeful,
but
but
more,
it's really
more importantly, it's
supporting.
important to support
Yeah.
the women that are really highlighting women's sports and all that is
Especially
right
what's
now.
happening in
It's
women's
crazy.
sports.
It's
It's
so cool.
So
freaking
overlooked.
cool.
It's
Like,
so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I think the Indiana's supposed to play at the Long Beach Center too, which everyone's excited about because of Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
So I think that's going to be really awesome. But I think in general, I think what's happening in women's sports and women business. I mean, let's highlight the fact that you are women business owners. You're
Yeah.
kicking ass. You're badass, and that also is something that is super. I mean, that's obviously why I'm connecting even more and more because we're business owners, and it is a little different for us. Not in every way, but it is a little different for us. People sometimes will look at us and think that we don't know what we're doing, and they'll, maybe underestimate the ability, but then we prove and show, and we kind of always have to be doing that, like showing that we could just do it even better.
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
sure. Well, I've experienced it firsthand for sure.
Yeah.
It's nice to be underestimated sometimes and then come out guns blazing. You're like,
I feel like I've just gotten used to it
Me
at that
too.
point, though. And I mean, maybe it's not something we should be getting used to, but it definitely
Yeah,
is
it's
like.
unfortunate.
It's kind of fun for me now at this point because I'm just like, oh gosh, you have no idea.
It makes you stronger.
It does, and I think that's why we are stronger and we are better.
we're better. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. Are you kidding me? Thank you so much for allowing us in your space, for taking the time too, because I know you're tired. I know you guys want to go home too, and thank you for the mimosa that I drink most of. Sorry, Bri. And I'll be here. I'll be here every week still. So
We're
you'll
so
see
happy
me.
for that.
Yeah, and I'll be aiming for a plaque soon.
I really want your podcast, or what do you call it when it's a video, a vlog?
It's a podcast. I mean,
a
just your
podcast.
video and audio.
I want your podcast to be successful.
Aw, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I really wish you the best.
Well, this
on
is how
that.
it's going to be successful. It's because I'm interviewing great people who are going to be also giving tips. So, I like to say that the podcast has developed into so much. Like at first it was that I wanted the community to know about these businesses and support it. Like every time that someone views it, I want them to connect with you somehow and want to go support. But now it's also I want it to become this school as well for other people. Like let's say there's 2 other women who are bars. There's so many, right? Who want to open a place, and they're going to be watching you and listening to you and learning from your mistakes, but learning from your challenges and learning how adaptable you are and learning your resilience. Like this is taught. Come on. All of the things that you've had to deal with through this process, that's just built so much resilience, and it shows.
And just making sure that you're paying attention to your opportunities.
Okay.
It's really important to notice when there's an opportunity and when it's the right one. Mm-hmm. You have to do that. You have to stay focused on those moments.
Yeah, I actually really agree with that.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the thing where it says that sometimes all of a sudden you start to become lucky? But then it's not necessarily luck. It's just that you can identify an opportunity now because of your experience. I've heard that before, and I really like that.
I like that too.
Yeah. So
And honestly, just always ask questions too, right? Like we've been talking about this whole time there's always room for growth and learning, and just listen and ask questions, and
And if you see someone you want to be like, go get to know that person and ask them the questions, right?
yeah. Well, that's why I'm here. I'm asking these questions.
You're great at interviewing. Where's your, did you just memorize all that? Or did you just go with the flow? That was amazing.
I feel like the questionnaire helps, but it just lets let the conversation flow, and I think that's why it becomes such a great show, because I'm truly interested, and I only interview people I really want to interview. So I really wanted to interview you.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that was another episode of Lightbulbs with Natasha. Please visit Let's Yoke About It here in Long Beach, California. It's amazing, and it's one of my favorite spots here in Long Beach. And I am so grateful for Rebecca and for Bri for giving us the time. And yeah, don't forget to follow us on all social media, on all streaming platforms. And don't forget to follow at Let's Yolk About It.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.